when I think about Diddy in today's time, I'm also thinking about Mr. Russell Simmons, who was behind Def Comedy Jam, and he's catching similar viewpoints and headlines that put him in a tough place. Russell, did you have any stories back then that kind of like you're not surprised what he's kind of up to now, or like what's being talked about now?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, but I didn't see any of that firsthand. I remember my first Def Jam appearance right before I went on. Russell came out of the wings. It's like he came out of nowhere. And anybody who worked with me knew that you had to stay away from me because I was trying to get on stage before I actually got on stage. So I needed everybody away from me. Um, so I could, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, right? So I wasn't
Mhm.
just coming from, and Russell walked into that space and it kind of was like, ooh, how dare you walk into my space? And then he was like, yo, you're going to come to, this is what he said. This is what he said. He said, you come into my place tonight, there's going to be a few of us. So,
Mm.
and he, and then he went on to explain how it was going to happen. And I just looked at him and I was like, no, I'm not.
Wow.
That's what I said.
So there was a proposition that he pretty much gave you at one point.
I don't know if it was a proposition, but
Yeah, he was alluding to come by the house.
come by the house. But that didn't mean, come have sex with me. That didn't mean,
Right.
We was going to do anything. A lot of people came and felt, that could have been some fellowship. That could have been some,
Right.
the golf course meeting, exchanging ideas. That's what it could have meant. But I'm thinking all the rumors. I can't put myself, like Cat Williams said. Sometimes you have to say no. I said it a little too hard because I knew looking the way that I looked.
Wow.
And this was I had to come so hard on Def Jam that I couldn't be
Right.
like, I was like, yo, like, hey, boom. And then
Wow.
literally 4 minutes later, we love her. She's from Atlanta. Whoa, whoa. I can hear Martin, Angela Means. And I literally could see Russell's face like, like you just said, I was like, and then I went out and did my thing. I did what I did.
Wow. So that's just before you went on, that conversation took place of like that quick interaction.
Right before I went on. Right before I went
That's
on.
deep. Was
That's
it instinct?
literally like,
Well, was it instinct? Because I can only imagine, right? From any, whether it was male or female who was on Def Jam, the big guy, the big boss is now inviting you to kick it with him. Your instinct told you to just deliver it that way and just kind of keep it pushing. What made you feel to tell Russell no?
I was already, my bravado was all the way built up. Like he walked into that. I was one of those comics that
Mm.
5 minutes before I went on, I was already on stage. And I was one of those comics because of how I look, because of, hating and this and that, and how I had come up and some of the experiences that I have had with audiences, I had to come with it. So you couldn't come in my space 5 minutes before I went on stage because I was already on stage before I got on stage. That's the only way I was going to survive on stage. I couldn't get on stage and be like, oh, yeah. So, all right. Let me take a minute before I get to work. No, I had to come on stage and, yeah, the men here are fine. Dude asked me, would I be free for dinner? No, I'd be reasonable. And then they were like,
Yeah.
oh, she's funny, because I could see people's faces like, it would be like, oh, this is a joke. Yeah, this is a joke. Like, get ready to boo. They did that at the Apollo. I got a standing ovation at the Apollo. So Russell just walked into that energy.
To the energy.
And, and that saved me. It probably saved me from a lot of,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that. I wasn't that chick. Everything I got, I earned. everything. I went in, I studied, I nailed it. Every single thing I got, I earned. And I was ready for every single thing that I got.
Mhm.
And it just so happened that frequency thing again, what I was thinking matched what I was getting, and it was on my mind all the time. I want an interesting character. I don't care about all this other stuff. I was going in on stuff, I wouldn't get this. No, it hurts when there's so much denial. There's so
Mhm.
much, there's so much rejection.
Well, what was Russell's reaction afterwards? Did you guys? It's two questions. Did you get to see him afterwards, the performance, and then it was like any exchange? And then the second part is, have you seen him since the performance?
Yeah, we did Bad Girls of Def Jam. And
Okay.
we was cool. We was cool. We had an understanding, and it never tried me again. And I was coming up. I was the promoters made me like you couldn't play a player. You can't, you know,
Hmm.
to paraphrase Prince, I couldn't be played because I was working so hard and I was so good and I was such an oxymoron, and promoters were asking for me. They were asking for me. So you couldn't
Gotcha.
say, "Oh, she's not available," because I was available
Right.
and they could get to me. So you just gotta. And I remember Mark Curry, and I would never diss him. And my comments about Mark Curry is not a diss
Hmm.
because he mentored me and he told me a lot of stuff. And I would ask, I would be like, oh, I want to get here, I want to get here. And Mark Curry's final word on everything is just be funny.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this teaser. You can watch the full interview right now at hypersclub.com, along with more behind the scenes and additional content.